And he became a millionaire, not through his art, not through the Facebook thing, but through gambling with control. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Bulletproof for BJJ podcast. Are you a gambler? Do you like a punt? Are you betting on the multi? Are you betting on the UFC? Do you like the pokies? Do you like Las Vegas? If you do jiu-jitsu, safe to say you are a gambler. And what are you gambling? Your ligaments. You are gambling surgery. Now at the time, it's all good fun. While you're winning, you're all good until you're not, my friends. And that's what you don't realize. That's what I have not realized in the past. You think, oh, I'm getting a good roll on here, rolling well, feeling invincible, sweeping the higher belts. I tap that black belt, feeling good. And then pop, I just tore a ligament. Now I can't walk. Hang on, I got to go see the physio. They tell me I got to see a surgeon. It is riskier than we realize. And I think this is why I wanted to talk about gambling, because this is something we don't think about in jiu-jitsu.
You want to talk about gamble?
I want to talk about a gamble.
I saw Paddy Pimblett competed in a grappling event. Was it Polaris or something?
Oh, it might have been.
I just saw the clip popped up on my Instagram, and the guy put a leg scissor on him.
Oh, really?
And it was fine. Paddy didn't get hurt, but it was a pretty rough leg scissor, and it looked like I'm pretty sure his MCL was holding on for dear life. And you're like, bro, you're a UFC fighter. Why are you putting yourself into this grappling event? Because that
they
moment.
Must have offered him some money, or
yeah, I think he's just a bit of a gamer too, isn't he? But when you see the leg scissors and it's
Kani Basami.
Yeah, and the weight shifts into the foot gets kind of stuck, and then the knee goes that way, and then the hip goes that way, and that's usually when it's like, duh! And you're like, I was waiting for the duh moment, but it didn't come, and you're like, oh my God, he's so lucky. He ended up getting heel hooked or whatever, some shit. But that's a gamble, right? You're bro.
But here's the thing, which I think we underestimate. When we get injured in jiu-jitsu, it's not necessarily the high stakes, shoot 'em out, I'm trying to heel hook you, you're trying to heel hook me. It could just be something simple as some nonsense close guard drill. The person goes to sweep, your body shifts, your leg doesn't, and now you've torn your meniscus. And it was like, oh, but I wasn't doing anything. This is the thing that, and I'm not saying this to be alarmist, I'm saying this to be aware, bring some awareness to this. Injury often strikes when you're not doing high stakes shit. It's like, oh, we were just warming up. Oh, I was just doing the neck exercises for wrestling. Yeah, but this is if we're not paying attention, this is where it can be risky. And I want to talk some odds, because I was talking with a young man about online gambling. He was gambling online, and I was like, dude, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I got the hot hand. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, I won $1,500 yesterday.
You having this conversation on his private jet?
I wasn't. No. This is a young man on his phone on a smoko break, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing over there? He's like, oh, bro, he's like, I'm killing it right now. I'm like, well, what are you doing? He's like, I won $1,500 yesterday. I'm like, yeah, okay, and what are you doing with that? I was like, I'm using it to make more money. It's an investment strategy. And I was like, dude, you can't afford to be doing this, man. You work a terrible job where they give you a 5-minute smoko break. If you really had excess money, you wouldn't be gambling. I'm like, your odds, and I don't know the odds about online casinos, but your odds at best, if you're in the casino, are kind of 20% or less. Like 1 in 5, if you're lucky, if you're doing all right. But otherwise, it's a rigged game. You will lose. But here's the thing. Gamblers, generally, today's my day. Today I get lucky. I'm going to win. I'm going to win every day. This is a bit of a mentality, right? Because it's a cognitive bias. Oh, remember that one time I won 2 Gs on the pokies? Yeah, I'll just put in $20. Hey, I'll put in $50. And this is the thing we do with jiu-jitsu. I didn't get hurt last time. I'm definitely not going to get hurt today. I'm not like those professional guys. I don't train 3 times a day. I'm much less likely to get injured. This is not true, my friends. If you do jiu-jitsu, you are absolutely putting your body on the line and you are risking surgery. Now, why do I want to say this
I'm not trying to be alarmist, but allow me to proceed to alarm you.
No, like I said, awareness. This is what I wanted to do. Because for most part, I think people that I meet in jiu-jitsu, they're not super risky people. You know, it's not like, for example, you know, people who would necessarily be like motorbike riders, like a part of a motorcycle club, or, you know, like when I used to train in the gym when I was younger, there was a group of 5 guys who would all come on their really high-powered motorbikes. These aren't part of an MC. They're not like driving like a Harley Davidson or something like that. They're riding sports bikes. And these guys used to talk mad crazy talk about the crazy stuff they would do on their bikes. One of these guys was in a really bad accident and he couldn't come to the gym anymore. But it was like, I knew these guys for about a period of a year, and they always used to talk, oh man, I was like doing this and I went the wrong way up this exit, you know, ramp. And like, it was like real, you know, high stakes adrenaline shit. And you're like, whoa, it made me feel very nervous actually to hear them talk. And then one of them was in a really bad accident and then he just couldn't come to the gym anymore. I don't know exactly what happened to that young man. Now, I say this with full respect. That is a risky group of people to be around because they promote, like, it's encouraged. Like, yo, what did you do? Yeah, man, you know, bragging and this risk taking, but you don't think that you're gambling permanent disability or potentially your life, right? And in jiu-jitsu, I find that most people I meet in jiu-jitsu are not super risky. They're not risky people. They're just like, oh, I'm just trying to do a bit of jiu-jitsu. But here's the thing, there is an inbuilt inherent risk. And we've talked about this not in an alarmist way, but we said, you know, injury is kind of in ways unavoidable.
Yeah, it's part of it.
Yeah, and it comes from places you least expect, perhaps. You're like, this is like a usual scenario. We're doing a takedown drill or, you know.
Yeah, so like I do agree. I agree, right? You know, with the sentiment. But I think here's something I reflect on often. This episode is brought to you by Parry Athletics, the exclusive apparel sponsor of the Bulletproof for BJJ podcast. We've been working with these guys for quite some time now. We absolutely love the company. We love their gear, both for training and also just looking slick off the mats. They got excellent no-gi wears, shorts, t-shirts, all that cool stuff. If you want to get yourself into some Parry clothes or you want to rock the Bulletproof for BJJ exclusive merch, you got to go through Parry. Go to parryathletics.com and use the code Bulletproof20 to get 20% off your order. They ship internationally. Because I often get like, like my knee, you know, like, damn, man, these injuries suck kind of thing. But, you know, here's the thing. Like my sister doesn't do any competitive sport anymore.
Sure.
Right? She's an academic.
Yes.
And a professional. Doesn't do any sport. Also doesn't do any lifting or anything. Got bad knees. Right?
Yes.
I do a bunch of lifting, bunch of sport, got bad knees. Right? No, so
I wouldn't say your knees are bad.
No, but
you've had knee injuries.
I've had knee injuries, right? So my, you know, it's a very crude comparison, right? It's like not an honest cross section. But my observation is that life's going to injure you.
Yeah.
Like it's going to happen.
Sure.
So and there's almost like maybe some sports, like maybe golf or something. Yeah. You know, okay, you're probably not going to end up on the surgery table.
You might hurt your back.
You could, but it's probably just going to be more of like shouldery thing, like niggling things. But like any sport that's like, you know, whatever.
Very physically demanding.
Soccer, tennis, volleyball,
requires dynamic movements.
Right, powerlifting even, like
Sure.
you're going to cop injuries. So in that way, I'm like that. I also just want to bring that to the table because, or even you don't do any sport, you avoid the potential injuries.
Yeah.
And then because your joints are weak and shit, you get injured.
Yeah. So a saying I got from Frank Barker from 10th Planet Melbourne, shout out.
Good man. I still haven't met Frank, but we connect a lot on Instagram.
Total legend.
Love the guy.
He said a saying I think he got from his father, his grandfather, which is rust out or wear out.
Yeah, I like that.
It's up to you, right? Like you can choose to take the wear and tear by your own choice and using your body the way you want, or you know, your body will gradually out if you avoid those things anyway.
Yeah.
Through like lack of use. So what do you choose? Well, I think you can I think there's a middle ground. And
look at you.
Oh my God.
A middle ground.
Possibly.
Okay, tell me more.
Okay. So, well, this sounds like a very strange segue, but there's a guy called David Cho. Now, David Cho is actually an artist. And I think what you'll find is if you Google David Cho, he is famous for doing artwork for Facebook. And he made a lot of money through that. He basically, Zuckerberg, he met the founder of Napster, Shawn Michaels.
Justin Timberlake,
that guy.
Yeah.
He hung out with him, and that guy helped raise money for Facebook. He was an early investor. And David Cho was hanging out with him, and he said, bro, this Zuckerberg guy, like, this shit's going somewhere. And so he got Zuck interested in David Cho, and David Cho painted the Facebook offices. Couldn't really pay him what he wanted. He wanted like, I don't know, 80 grand. And they were like, nah, yeah, we could, but do you want some stock? And the founder, I think it's Shawn, is the founder of Napster, said, bro, you're going to take this stock. Trust me. When Facebook IPO'd, I think he got like $150 million. Like that was the value of his stock.
Reasonable.
David Cho was actually a millionaire before the Facebook thing.
Right.
Because he paid a guy to be his minder in Vegas. He would go to Vegas and he would go into the casino with like 10 G's. And once he was up a certain amount, his minder would stop him from gambling and make him leave. And he did this consistently for a year. And he became a millionaire, not through his art, not through the Facebook thing, but through gambling with control, with like a guardian, almost like a personal trainer for gambling, right? Now, this is a difficult thing to do in jiu-jitsu because typically you've always got your training partners and your coach being like, train more, right? But I believe that if you set yourself a limit, kind of like gambling, like I'm only going to risk so much, then you are less likely to get. It doesn't mean you will never get injured, but getting caught up in the poor harder is where we tend to go wrong. I feel this is where we go wrong. Same in the gym.
Yep.
Oh, just one more. This is typically where I fuck myself up. I'm like, what could be the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
I'll just do one more. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I can barely hold the bar. I'll just get one more. Do it for Goggins. Do it for, I don't know, for glory. And then that's where the injury kicks in, you know? Just, that one more mentality.
It's when you're snowboarding, it's law that you never declare, this is my last run. You never say it. You just do it and then go, I'm out.
Yeah, you just got to.
Yeah, because as soon as you do it, you're getting wrecked on that run for sure. And it fucking happened to me plenty of times. Right?
It's funny, this does occur.
I've had that situation a couple of times recently where I've come to training with some water, but I haven't had any electrolytes, and I've finished training and I've had to go to a convenience shop and buy myself some kind of sports drink, usually a Gatorade. Cost me like $7. It's small and it really doesn't contain that much of the good stuff that I'm looking for, which are the electrolytes. Sodi, on the other hand, is my partner when it comes to hydration, and I'd simply just run out of it. And it sucks because I got to go buy expensive stuff that doesn't do anywhere near as good a job. I'm super stoked that we've been restocked with the Sodi, and now I can be properly hydrated when I train jiu-jitsu. This has always been an underexplored aspect of my training, and I'm so stoked that we now have these guys in place to support us and also the listeners of the show. So if you want to be hydrated on the mats so that you can perform at your best and have the best mental clarity while training, get yourself some Sodi. Go to sodi.com.au. That's SODII.com.au. Get yourself some delicious hydration salts and use the code bulletproof15 for 15% off. Go to sodi.com.au. Get yourself hydrated.
Right. It's funny, this does occur across through different modes of our life.
Yeah, I dare say that I think it's a very sensible recommendation you've made there, JT. Very moderate. Very realistic.
How dare I?
Yeah, things have changed since you've, I've stepped into this realm.
It's been a change. It's a change of heart.
It's refreshing, James. But I do think I'm thinking about, like, as you were saying it, I'm like, yeah, how does this play out, say, in my training? This plays out, for the listener, I can give you guys a couple of examples. One is when I'm coaching on Monday nights, I'm running some pretty fun classes. They're busy. The energy's high. It's good times.
Yep.
And we're getting into the rolls, and I feel myself wanting to roll.
Yes.
Because it's like, oh shit. Oh, they need me to even up the numbers. They need me to jump on it. And the boys are always looking over at me like, you rolling tonight?
Ooh.
And yeah, and it's so be like, yeah, let's do it.
Favorite dance partner?
Yeah. And so I really want to, and I often do. but I know I'm like, this is playing with fire because I'm jumping in without any intention. I haven't been doing the warm up. My head is really in coaching. I'm thinking more about running the space and making sure everyone's looked after and that kind of thing. It's not a good time for me to roll, particularly if I'm like trying to nurse this knee, injury. Right? Yeah. So that's one time where it's like the minder steps in and says, not tonight, Joey. No. Right? You're done.
Had enough, buddy.
Yeah. Or you finish a session. It's a good session. You know, whatever. Good, not great, but you get it done. And then that real tough guy that you like to roll is like, do you want to do one more?
One more. Oh.
And you've kind of cooled down a little bit. You've been talking shit for 15 minutes. And you're like, go on.
That's... Oh.
Yeah.
It's a problem, my friends. Look, I'm with you on this one. And the way...
No, I'm with you.
Oh, you're with me. Oh, yes. First time for everything, folks. This is how it goes. The tables have turned. I am the moderate. But here's how I've started to reflect on it, because time is a constraint for me now. I'm busier than I have ever been in my life. So I have to be more disciplined about the time. I don't have a choice. There's much less faffing around for me. So if I don't get all my sets done in 20 minutes, well, it's time to move to the next exercise. There's no like, oh, if I give it a good 5 minute, just G up, slap myself in the face, and now I'm going for one big last set. No, it's done. You only did 4 sets. Well, I didn't get my workout. I didn't get what I wanted, but that's the discipline of time. So for me with the gym, I set a time constraint. So usually my main working set, you got 20 minutes. If you can't get 5 sets out in 20 minutes, what the f*** are you doing? You're fucking around, right? So it's the same thing with jiu-jitsu. If I am rolling, typically it will be more like a day session, a lunch session. I have to usually pick Ola up from work if it's an afternoon. So I can't just hang out. It's got to be get my rolls. I got to look up, right? I got get shower, get changed, get in the car, this much time. I got to be there. And so I think by imposing something artificial, like an artificial constraint or a real constraint, this is the person holding you back from gambling more than you should. This is where I think that it is something that we probably take for granted, because if you've got that little bit of time up your sleeve, you're like, oh, like you said, oh, go on. Like, why wouldn't I? I'm not here, I'm not here as much as I want. I want to get one more in. This is riskier than this is where we can get ourselves into dangerous territory.
Yeah, you know that I've heard people say it from previous generations about eating, that you should finish your meal and feel like you could still eat it again.
Yeah.
Right? And it's, or like you could eat more. Like that's the perfect time to walk away from the meal.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot in that, right? In terms of like restraint and kind of moderation and that being a good habit.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking of it the same thing with jiu-jitsu. I think of it the same thing with podcasting often. When you finish an episode and you're like, I could have said more, that's actually a good sign. Yeah. Versus you finish it and you're like, man, we really flogged that to death and the last 10 minutes were just fluff.
Yeah.
So same thing with jiu-jitsu. It's really great to be able to walk away from a session and be like, I could have done more. That's great. That's perfect.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Actually, my friend Cam Smith, Cam Scale, shout out at Cam Scale, one of Australia's greatest mural artists. He said, if you're looking at an artwork as an artist, the best time to work or walk away is when you feel like you could do 10% more. He's like, you're looking at
like when you're creating the artwork.
Yeah, he's like, you're doing a portrait or a landscape and you look at it, you're like, oh, it's not quite there. Perfect time to walk away. Because as far as everyone else is concerned, it looks amazing right now. And that last 10% is when you can fuck it. Trying to do a little bit more detail around the eye, trying to put a bit more color in the sky. No, that is your FOMO kicking in, which is just ego and pride beyond effectiveness. You don't need it. You don't need it. But the problem is it's just the quiet voice of sensibility just going, hey, could you just do it? Your ego just comes in like, you can do it. Shia LaBeouf, do it. Don't. I'm just saying, it sounds strange for me to come across in this way. Do less, my friends. Just 10% less. When you feel you could do more, actually give it a bit less. And this is going to keep you safer. Live to fight another day. That's what I'd say. There it is, my friends. Thank you.